I'm Lexxie. I'm in the US. As some of you might have figured out by now, one of my favorite parts of the holidays is all the delicious desserts. And today I'm going to show you one of my favorites. It's a cranberry cake. I started making this a couple of years ago and nothing online was exactly what I wanted it to be. So I combined a few recipes and tweaked it and changed it, and over the years this is what it's developed into, and I think it's delicious. It's light and rich at the same time, fruity, bright, festive, just delicious. I don't know what more I can say about it, but let's go in the kitchen and I'll show you how to make it. The first step you need to do is crack 4 eggs into a bowl. That one tried to run away. It did not succeed. That's my oven. And then you are going to beat these eggs for 5 to 7 minutes until they lighten in color and get kind of ribbony. That's gonna take a few minutes, clearly 5 to 7. So through the magic of YouTube, I'll see you when that's done. All right, you can see how these have really lightened up in color and gained a lot of volume. That's what you want it to look like. We're going to set this aside for a minute. And the next thing you need to do is take 2 sticks of softened butter and a block of cream cheese. And where did I put my sugar? Sugar. And a 1.5 cups of sugar. And you're going to cream those together until they're light and fluffy. And I'm going to clean the egg that I dripped off the counter. Okay, that looks light and fluffy to me. We're going to switch bowls again and add the butter cream cheese mixture into the egg. Now you could go the other way and put the egg in the butter cream cheese mixture, but this is just going to keep me from washing another bowl because I can reuse this one to make the crumble topping. And any egg that got into this bowl from the beaters won't matter because the crumble topping does get baked. But I don't really want like that kind of egg in this bowl. And I'm going to add about 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla to this, but you know we measure this with our hearts. And give this a mix again. Now it's starting to look like a cake batter. To this, I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg. About like that. A pinch of salt. The zest of 1 lemon, or you can go with an orange. I know orange is a little more traditional in an application like this with cranberries at Christmas time, but the last time I made this, I did it with lemon, and I liked it that way, so that's the way I'm doing it again. As a general rule, I do tend to prefer lemon to orange. Or you could do it with lime. Cranberry and lime is a classic combination too. It's just not super Christmassy. And lime has a much more distinctive flavor than lemon, so it's definitely in that case a cranberry lime cake and not just a cranberry cake. Okay, zest of a lemon. All of that yummy goodness off of there. Next goes 2 cups of flour. I'm not going to use this little tiny cup. 2 cups of flour. Nope, that does not go in there. And then a teaspoon, helps it comes out of the spoon, and a half of baking soda. And then we're going to give this a mix again. You want it to just come together, not to overmix it, or you could end up with some weird gluten things going on. At this point, we're going to add in approximately 2 cups of either fresh or frozen cranberries. These are fresh. These are frozen, but they've been sitting on the counter a little while. Not too long. They're still pretty frozen. And we're just going to kind of eyeball that. That looks like about a cup. That looks close. And stir these in. I'm going to do this by hand so that they don't get broken up by the mixer. And this will also let me scrape down the bowl and make sure I get everything at the bottom all sufficiently. Looks like it needs a few more berries to me. Now this looks just about ready to go into pans, doesn't it? Let me get the pans. Now me personally, I like these silicone pans. But if all you have is metal, or if you prefer metal, you can absolutely use that. I would just grease and flour metal pans, where silicone ones, you don't really have to do that. The cakes just come right out. So I'm just going to spread this evenly into 2 pans. Mine are kind of small, which is why I'm doing 2. But that lets me have one cake for myself and one cake for a friend. Also, by all means, if you would prefer to do this as a round cake, you could. I've done that before. I did this as one big, like, 10-inch round cake, or it might have been a 12. I'm not sure how big that pan is. But I have found I prefer it in the loaf shape. Get some of that batter off the mixer. All right, those look just about even. So I'm going to clean up a little bit, and then there's one more step to this before it goes in the oven. Be right back. Welcome back. Here I've got about 2/3 of a stick of butter that I stuck in the microwave for 10 minutes, and that may have been a little bit too much because this was just meant to be softened, but it'll be fine. And you know, I always eyeball this part. So we're gonna start with about 2/3 of a cup of sugar. Excuse me. And I don't know, that's maybe half a cup of flour, or 2/3 of a cup of flour, something like that. And then just get in there with your hands. And this is a lot like when we made biscuits or scones. What we're doing here is a crumble topping. And I may have actually gone a little bit heavy on the flour and sugar here, but it'll work out just fine. You want this kind of crumbly, sandy consistency that sticks together when you squeeze it. Now, if you don't like a crumble topping, or you don't want a crumble topping, you can just mix some powdered sugar with a little bit of orange juice or lemon juice and pour that on top as a glaze. Or you can do both. This is just the way I like it. So, I've got my crumble topping. I'm going to squeeze it a little bit so that I've got some bigger clumps. I'm not going to leave it in clumps that big. But just kind of break the big clumps up over the top of the cakes to create reasonable sized clumps. That looks pretty good. Yeah, I think I made a little bit too much crumble. So maybe start with half a stick of butter and half a cup of sugar. Unless you really like crumble, or if you have another project that you need to use this in. But I have extra crumble. These are going to go into the oven for 60 to 70 minutes at 350 degrees. So I will see you back at our regularly scheduled location when it's time to try them. All right, so here I've got a piece cut out of it. Left the rest of the 2 cakes in the house. I have plans for those later this weekend. But you can see the cranberries spotted throughout it. And, well, you can't, well, there we go. If I turn it this way, you can see the crumble bits on top. Let's just take a bite. The cranberry and the lemon play so well together. The bright tartness of the cranberry, it's delicious. And the crumble on the top is just a fun little crunchy sweet texture. I love this cake. It's light and bright and fruity. The nutmeg adds just a little bit of depth. You don't taste the nutmeg, but you would miss it if it wasn't there. Believe me, I know. I've tried it without the nutmeg. Now, like I said, this would be very good with orange instead of lemon. I'm just not as much of an orange fan. I prefer it with the lemon. And if you wanted to make a glaze instead of or in addition to the crumble topping, you can do that and just drizzle that over the top. Perfectly delicious. You could put some whipped cream on this. You could even heat up some cranberry sauce and use that as a drizzle over top. That could be really good. Now I want to do that. But this is a cake that I look forward to making every Christmas. And even though I keep coming up with more and more desserts that I love, I'm pretty sure this one's going to stay on the roster just because nothing else is quite like it. But that's all I've got for today. So if you could give the video a like and then hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, I'd really appreciate it. And I will see you next time. Happy holidays!